Are we live now? Can anybody hear us?
It sounds so empty.
There's no image there.
I know. Are you serious?
Because we're streaming somewhere. But where?
Wait. Okay, there, we're live.
Oh, we're finally live. Go back to the chat. Can anybody hear us?
Say yes.
Oh, good. This is a new program, and it's having us click a whole bunch of different boxes before we could get to where we need to go. So now we're
Okay.
here.
I see Bob Del Campos here. I see Mark Sobe from the top.
Yep.
Okay. Mark Sobe is here. And Dan Evoid is here.
Hello, Mark. Dan, are you here?
Like I said, Bob Del Campos here.
Hi, Buff.
Lester Lestaber is here.
Hey, Lester.
Chris Free Messer is here.
Yeah. Hey, Chris.
Yes. Vintage Adventurer Rives is here.
What's up, Tanner? ¿Dónde está mi gato? It's the only phrase I remember in Spanish. It's under your car, Tanner. They're always under your car.
Johnny C48980 is here.
Hey, John. Chris, you really can't hear us?
Where is it going at an appropriate time?
Oh,
Dan says ear infection. Buddy Carafano's here.
Hey, buddy. Welcome.
Josh Holman is here.
Welcome, Josh. I'm assuming you can hear me then, Chris, with all the laughing faces. Dan, that 58 Ford is painted up to look like the taxis look like in Mexico City in 1958.
You don't have to yell. Why are you yelling?
I'm not yelling.
You're yelling.
It was called the Crocodile taxis. So very interesting car and very reasonably priced too for a very good running car. So I have it on the list to post it at some point. And that first Beetle that was on there is a 2002 model. So that's only for my Canada friends, my Canadian friends. I'm going to post that one because it's just such a nice car and it's local to Los Mochis. Yeah, Dan, probably, unless it was switched out at some point. You're supposed to be reading the.
Yeah, well, you don't let me, do you? You have access to the chat now, so you don't let me do anything.
Read.
But Danny Boy asked if it was an a 58 Ford or a Netzel.
No, it was a 58 Ford.
And then he asked if he had a white block, probably.
Probably. We can only see what we can see.
Yeah, and now you can see the chat, which means I'm dispensable.
No, you can read. This car is an interesting car on the screen. It's a 1962 Opel panel wagon. Never seen one before. It's been for sale for quite some time. Not sure if it runs, but it's a very, very rare model. And when it would, I mean, paint your name on the side or your company name on the side. It would be a really neat little two-door wagon, panel wagon.
Vintage Adventures access to Danny Boyd says that was definitely a white block. Dan says, see Dan delivery.
Yep.
Vintage and says, I dig the wheels on that Opel.
Very interesting little car. Not very many of them, you can find. I wasn't able to find another one that had ever sold. So, got a little bitty engine under the hood. But it would be a fun project. Turn it into whatever you want to. $15 people here. Well, there's a lot of lurkers.
Josh Homan says they sold Opels here for a few years as Buicks.
Yeah, but that was a different model, Josh. That was the I don't even know if they had a name. The Buick Opal.
Moper Dennis here.
Hey, Dennis. Thanks for joining us. I sent you the email. I'm not sure if you saw it with a couple of Wagoneers on it.
Vintage says a truck with a hood for 4 headlights. I love those trucks.
No, those were the early ones. This swept line here is an American truck, obviously, because it's a long bed, and but it sure is a nice looking truck. Automatic on the dash. That the handles on the dash. I talked to the guy yesterday about it. He says, "Oh well, if you want to come out and see it, we're gonna display it in Querétaro." Well, I'm not near Querétaro, so that ain't gonna happen.
Moper Dennis says just getting caught up on the emails now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was Thanksgiving weekend. I didn't expect anybody to answer me on anything. Hopefully, early next week, I'll have customers that are ready to go on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is an early Fiat 500.
Danny Boyd says long beds are state of the art for a pickup.
They don't exist anymore.
Crash Runner Garage is here.
Hey, Crash Roadrunner, welcome. Got some very interesting cars to show today. And you guys got to tell me, this is a new program. Tell us, how does it look? The picture quality, the sound, everything.
I think the sound is the most important. The picture quality, I think, is good.
Yeah, it looks pretty decent, but everybody is on a different, platform.
Dan E. Boyd says, I work. My truck is a long bed.
Yeah, you got to use it.
Jay is here.
Welcome, Jay.
Chris says, new program looks good.
Good. I hope it's better for you guys.
Jay said, Mrs. Spec sounds great. Thank you, Jay.
Lucky there's so much room between us and them. Us and him.
Why? Why?
He's always commenting you.
Uh,
Complimenting you, sorry.
um, let's say Josh Holman says it looks good. Danny Way says looks and sounds good, but I'm on my phone. And Josh Holman says fix it again, Tony.
Yep, that's what that is. But we don't want to offend Chris here because he likes these Fiat 500s.
And Chris answered to Josh, Ferrari inspired automotive technology.
That's funny, Chris.
What is this one?
This is a Barracuda.
Mm.
It's a Mexican car, obviously, because as you'll see in a couple more pictures, there's a 318 badge on the side, and that's Mexico only.
Let me have a drink. You're too close to me.
And it's also not overly expensive. Some people put huge numbers on their cars, but this one wasn't that bad. And of course, we all know 68 is the year to have.
Mm.
And ironically, Mark, I don't think Tony ever worked on those. You guys like the notchbacks or the fastbacks on these Barracudas? The convertible doesn't count. This one looks pretty decent. I can see a few things it needs, like the left headlight there.
Danny Boyd says round markers for the win.
Yep, 1 year only.
Dean Stevenson is here.
Hey, Dean, you like the fastback, huh? Fastbacks. Everybody says they like the notchback.
Apparently not.
Well, not in my chat, but I've heard that.
But the Campo also likes fastbacks and he says my favorite is the Moper.
That's my favorite Mopar.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. This is a nice car inside and out. 318 stick shift, of course. Yeah, I didn't think they even sold an automatic here. He usually comes in later, Jay. And the word friend should have been in quotes. I mean, would this car be worth $30,000? This Barracuda in this condition? 318 4-speed? I don't know what they go for.
Sorry, I'm eating. Mark Survey says, I'm old and fat. I wouldn't see myself trying to clean the inside of a fastback window.
That's what you have kids around for.
Vintage says, I can go either way on those 67 to 69 Barracudas. They're both cool cars.
See, there's the 318 Mexico only badge on it. It's supposed to be red, white, and blue too, but it faded over the years. It is a very clean car, Dean.
Uno's here,
Uno.
and he says, que esa Barracuda? Hey, Uno.
Hey, tell him what we saw yesterday.
Um,
The name of the place.
we were eating at a mall,
A food court.
a food court, and there was this place that was literally called Quesabirrias. And I wanted to eat there, but we already had food, so
Yeah, that's all they sell.
it was so good. Hold on. Dean says it's so straight and honest. What's so straight and honest?
The car.
Oh. Dan says one of each body style, second generation Barracuda. Jay says I was in a live stream yesterday with someone I was in YouTube bootcamp with. The mod accidentally banned someone.
That's never happened here, Jay.
Dean says, Mark, you have minions. Crash Road says, I'll take whatever anyone will give me. Dan says, Millionaire. Uno says, Hola, señorita Lucía. Hola, Uno. Dean says, Uno Turbo. Mark says to Dean Stevenson's, I don't, lol. Dan says, Band on the run. And Chris says, I thought you were going to say Pizzeria Uno. No.
You guys remember these Toyota Coronas? Unfortunately, this one's an automatic. But the early ones, the 1967 model, you use the horn pad. You rotated it one way for the left turn signal. You rotated it the other way for the right-hand turn signal.
Really?
This is a 69 model, so it doesn't have that, yeah. And as the steering wheel came back, the horn ring came back to the neutral position. With multifunctional horn ring on that car.
And it didn't break?
No.
That's weird.
These were very, very well-made cars for a Japanese car. These Coronas.
Uno says, my Corona.
Old song.
It's not my Sharona?
Exactly.
Oh. Jay says, cool Toyota Corona. Uno says, fam had a Corona wagon with the wood stickers on the side.
Yeah, even Toyota did that for the American market.
Do you want a pillow?
No.
Oh, you're looking forward.
I'm looking at the car. And here we have a 1970 Valiant Duster with added hood scoops. Where's Mo Parquet to see this car? Uno wants a pillow.
I have a pillow. Come over. Sorry if I sound a little off, but I only had like 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours of sleep. So I'm a little sleepy. Danny Boy says, ooh, you make my nosy run. Is that the song? Yeah. My nosy run when you're gonna let me breathe my Corona. Fun says, now I have that song stuck in my head. Sorry. Buffalo Campos says, my brother had one of those Coronas. I think his was a 66. It was an automatic.
Did the transmission last on that car, Buff?
Dean says, my wife's stepmother had Ain, or Ine, Mexican Spec. She went on holiday back to the west of Scotland, came back, and the car had twin carbs because her son fitted them. Every time she stood on the gas, it went whoosh.
I'm going to assume Ine means one.
Okay.
You guys got to look at this Oldsmobile 442 and tell me what stands out about it to you. I'll give you a hint. It's the interior.
Jay says, that is awesome. How much is it? I think they're talking about the last car.
Are you talking about the Corona or the Duster? I'd have to look at that. It's on my list to be published.
Oh,
I haven't done the calculations yet. Isn't that a beautiful interior for an Oldsmobile 442?
Johnny says, they were very popular during the early 70s. I remember them well.
Yeah, there were a lot of them around, but nobody wanted to fix them.
Kim fixes things this year.
Hey, Kim.
And she says, that looks like a really fun car. Dean Stevenson says, oh, wait. He says, in Scottish, she said, I'm not having that. Take them off.
I'll let you know on the Duster, Jay. I have to do all the calculations for the new list.
Uno says, that's ugly for a Volkswagen Safari.
What Volkswagen Safari?
I don't know.
This looks like an Oldsmobile 442 to me. I'm gonna send a message to this guy before I post it and ask him what happened to this car. Why did it have blue and white interior, and why doesn't not have the original instruments in it? Because the guy's asking a lot of money because it's a 442 and it's got a 455 under the hood. Which will really move that car.
Uno says the old interior will be ugly on a Safari.
It'll be ugly anywhere.
Hey Uno, do I remember incorrectly, or did you mention that you were gonna send an email? Because I didn't get an email. I just wanted to confirm because
Last week.
Yeah, because I was getting emails from some people, and I just want to make sure that I didn't miss yours. Dean says, "What a beast! I love it."
How much money would it take to put that 442 back to presentable condition with the interior instruments? Because the instruments you get has to be out of a 442 with the tack.
Jay says,
unless he has them in the trunk. I don't know.
Sorry. Jay says, was that an automatic transmission shifter?
Yeah, they just put it on the floor. Like a lot of people, they don't bother doing it right.
Dean confirms, yes, Jay, affirmative.
That's not it, Uno. Go to my YouTube channel, and you can get the email there, or go to my website, and under each and every car, you click it, and that'll give you my email address. I didn't think to get mexicanspec@gmail.com.
We could.
Yeah, we could.
It could be red.
It could be gmail.com. You can work on that after you wake up from your nap.
No, I have to go. I don't even remember what time this party is.
No, the 442 also came with automatics.
Rich 46129 is here.
Hi, Rich.
And Chris says, ooh, nice bus.
It is, actually. And not too expensive. I don't usually post these because what?
You were supposed to tell a story.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
People usually ask so much money for these early 70s buses that I don't even bother. But this one is a reasonable price. I'm not sure if I put it on my list. But obviously it was a white bus before, and they just painted only the outside red.
Dean says, well, most of the money is the dashboard, top, and the kind of OEM upholstery. It's probably as cool with it and the way it is. And Kerosene Cucumbers is here.
Hey, Kerosene Cucumbers, welcome.
Kim Fixes Thing says, it looks extremely complete and clean.
Yeah, it's complete. But the problem with having the car is you have to look at the interior every time you get in. That's the biggest problem with it.
Dean says the story Mexican Spectre low.
Okay, here's a story. I saw this. I saw a post on Facebook. This woman bought a new MG. It was probably the MG5, which is just your basic four-door sedan car, and she bought it in 2003. 4 hours after she bought it, she got rear-ended. She showed the picture of the rear ending. It was pretty bad. So it went into the shop. It was in the shop for 6 months. Now remember that because that's important to this story. So she gets the car back out, and the car came with free service every 6 months or 10,000 kilometers. Oh, okay, Kim. Yeah, the bus is really nice. Yeah, it is. So she goes on. She had the car for 2 years. She comes out to work. There's 32,000 kilometers on this car, which you can figure out in miles how much that is. She comes out after work one night, absolutely will not start, won't do anything. So she has it taken to the dealership. The dealership starts working on it, and they say it needs a computer. They put a computer in, that didn't fix it. They say it needs other things, didn't fix it. Then they start going through the wire. They said it needs a wiring harness. Wiring harness, um, the engine wiring harness. She showed a picture that they sent her from the dealership that the mechanic had separated every individual wire in the wiring harness, looking for a break in it or something. Well, they still haven't found it. The problem. She's been without the car for 6 months now. She's been making payments of 8,000 pesos a month on the car, plus insurance for a car she doesn't have. And they tell her that because she didn't bring the car in at the 6 month mark, the first 6 months, they voided her warranty, even though the car was in a body shop getting fixed. It wasn't on the road or anything or running. They voided her warranty and then handed her a bill for the computer they put in for 25,000 pesos. And then it's still not running. The car still doesn't run. They can't get it running. And the issue is that the Mexican mechanics contact, because MG is a Chinese company, they contact China, and the Chinese are talking to them in English. And these guys don't know English or Chinese. So there's a huge language gap there, and they're just not able to fix the car. And they just handed her this huge bill for, tens of thousands of pesos for a car that does not run, and she still is paying every month on the car. There's nothing she can do with the car, and the dealership just stopped contacting her. Well, what's going on with my car? What's going on with the car? They stopped contacting her, and so she contacted MG in Mexico City, and then they contacted the dealer, and they're like, oh, a part came in, so they're putting a part in. It's just this whole big, but she's not the only one. These Chinese cars, there's no parts in Mexico to fix them, so it takes a long time to get a part. And then you have mechanics that don't know how to work on the cars and don't understand the people that built the cars trying to fix it and everything else. There was another case, I think it was in Monterrey, where the girl had this car. She parked it out in front of the dealership, and with the shoe polish wrote on it that they're not fixing the car, they're not doing this, doing that. And the dealership tried to call the police. The police came out there, stood next to her with their arms crossed like that, looking at her, going, that's about it. They said, we're not removing her. She has every right to be here, all that stuff. So it's all over the country. People are paying all this money for cars and she paid almost 500,000 pesos for this car, and it doesn't run. She got 32,000 kilometers out of it, and that's it. And she's still paying on the car and still has to keep paying on the car whether she has the car or not. But when I hear people say, "Oh yeah, I wish Chinese electric cars would come into the U.S. so we can have cheap cars," no, nobody wants a Chinese car. This woman is in really bad condition because she doesn't have a car, but she has to keep getting to work somehow to pay the bills. It's absolutely crazy. She answered a couple of my comments on her Facebook thing, because my son's mother in where she lives was working as selling those cars at MG, and they would come right back to the dealership because the screen on the dash can't handle the heat that we have here, so it just goes out, which means you can't control anything. and then you bring it back and there's no screens to put in the car because there's no parts here. And then you have the car has to, these little cars have to run on the highest octane we have. You have to buy the premium fuel here in these little cars. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Sorry, are you done?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Um, Jay says, before you start, it says, Mrs. Spec, we want pictures of the party or it didn't happen. I'll send you a picture of the food. Does that help?
What party?
That I'm going tonight.
Oh.
You forget so easily.
Well, if he's asking for pictures, it's obviously something that has happened already.
Kim fixes and says, no, I was talking about the bus. It's nice. The 442 was not my type. And Danny Boy says, oh, I missed a 442.
You can roll it back.
I can. Probably. I don't know how to.
No, he can.
Oh, I paused it by the way because the cars were going by and you were talking about something else.
Oh, okay.
Dean says you just have to wear blue and white Argentina flag clothes, Kimbergini. Dean Stevenson says, ouch, that smell fiends, Fiends?
I think you spelled it wrong.
I don't know how to say that word. Uno says, is it the 66 gmail.com?
Nope. Try again.
What the hell? Where are you getting these emails? What Dan says, these races in Florida ain't got no jarritos in their public grocery stores.
What are you doing in Florida, Dan? And why would Cubans have a Mexican thing in their stores?
Dean says, just like trying to get parts for your 1972 XA Falcon GT, the 4300 Autolite car used to break apart every 2 months. You could only get the part from Canada or other XA Falcon GT.
The difference between that and this, Dean, is this is a new car. Parts should be on the shelf if you need to fix one. I can understand a 50-year-old car not having, or 60-year-old car, 70-year-old car now, a 50-year-old car not having parts available, but a brand new car should be able to be fixed at the dealer.
Lester says, I thought that the 442 had a fastback roof. Did they also use a Supreme style roof like the one you showed?
It was a fastback roof, Lester, wasn't it?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
This is a 1970 model. Look it up on Google and see what they used. I think it's the same car.
Kerosene says, is the MG electric or gas?
This one is gas. I think they sell electric also, but most of what they sell is gasoline.
Dean answer gasoline. Uno says garbage. The answer is MG is garbage.
It always was, but now it's just a new generation of garbage.
Dean says MG5 looks great until you have to fix them.
Yeah, and nobody else can fix it either because nobody else can get the part.
Uno says that's the email on your website, Mason66STR.
Right. Exactly.
But that's what he said.
Oh, all he said was 66.
But you said Gmail. It's not Gmail.
Yes, it is. Gmail? Yes, it is.
Then you were mistaken. Don't confuse me.
All he said was 66. He didn't put the rest of the stuff in there.
He didn't want to say the rest of the things to make it public. I don't know why. It's a public email, but anyway. Yes, Uno. It is the Mason66 SDR email. Sorry. Dan says, visiting my mother.
Oh, okay.
Say hi for me. Chris says, to be fair, if you buy a brand new expensive US make car and get into an accident with it soon after, you could be waiting 6 months to get any parts for it.
Right, Chris. But yeah, the car was fixed. It took 6 months in the body shop to be fixed. But they voided her mechanical warranty because it was not brought in. She didn't do the first service at 6 months because the car was in the body shop. That doesn't make any sense.
Dan says he's heading home tonight, though.
To Snow? Heading home to Snow?
Dean says, but this was in 1972. Also, when the car was new.
They didn't have any parts? Ford didn't have any parts for that car? Same thing?
Dean says, we had the same problem back then. No parts, even on a brand new Ford.
That's terrible. But at least you could have gotten them from Canada.
Dean says in New Zealand all MG5s are electric.
Really?
That's what he says.
Not here. It's the entry level car here, the cheapest you can get.
Jay says buy the parts on Temu or to fix the MG.
That's probably what they're doing at the dealership.
Uno says, and then you have mail.
Woohoo! I have an email.
And Dean says, but the electric parts have to be reprogrammed and coded.
Yeah.
Dean Stevenson says, that's correct. No new parts.
That's crazy.
Okay,
At least the US requires parts to be available for the car, but it doesn't here. I mean, that's ridiculous. She doesn't want to wreck her credit, so she has to keep paying 8,000 pesos a month for the car, and a lot of people don't even make 8,000 pesos a month.
Mm-hmm.
You've got mail. Yes, I do remember that, Dean.
I do too. What? I heard it on the TVs.
Yeah, but not when you got mail.
No, I was too young. I also didn't have a computer when I was young. Dean says, I'll call Steve later.
Well, he's kind of in Michigan and only knows Michigan. And even though Michigan shares the first two letters with Mexico, no, it doesn't. The first letter.
No, it doesn't.
Close enough.
Jay says, I think that is an old wives' tale that manufacturers have to have parts mixed.
It's supposed to be the law for 10 years, Jay, that they have to supply parts. It's supposed to be the law. Spelling is hard, Chris. Yes. Math is easy, spelling is hard. Chris, remember that pink 67 Volkswagen with the split window in the back I showed some time back? I just sent those pictures to a guy in California. He's like, that is very pink. I said, yes, it is very pink. He's going to show the pictures to his wife and see what she says, because it can go directly into California being a 67, I think. Really, Chris? You're not reading.
I'm trying to figure out what he was trying to spell. I'm sorry.
No, do not try to figure out anything with Dean. Just read the comments.
He has me mesmerized. I'm sorry. Dean says, Spec. Chris says, there's no law specifying how long an automaker has to provide these parts for their cars. And Jay says, I'm pretty sure that isn't true anymore.
I thought it was.
Lester says, I looked on Google. 1940 442 used the fastback roof. I rewound the video and it looks like the Supreme formal roof to me, not a real 442.
That is very possible. This is Mexico, Lester.
Jay says, Dean, if I didn't know you, I'll put you on timeout. What did he say?
Do it anyway, Jay. Do it anyway. He likes it.
That sounded naughty.
Here's the pink car.
What did he try to spell? Or what did he say? I don't understand.
Michigan.
And what do we say about what? I don't understand.
I don't know. Here's the pink car that I sent to the guy. I love the way people take pictures. Why is it facing a different way? Oh well.
Dean says, just ignore my comments. It's the easiest way. I makes mistake.
Oh, it is the same way. Okay.
And
maybe this is a different one.
He answers Michigan.
Okay. This is more of a what, a coral color.
I will call it salmon.
Salmon. Yeah, there you go. No, this isn't the split window. But it's not the old. This is a 70 or 71 model too, with those taillights.
Jay says you can only paint a Cadillac pink.
Who came up with that rule?
Chris says my wife is surprisingly uninterested in the pink Beetle.
Well, good for you.
Vintage says, I never realized that the old Cutlass had different roofs.
I think you could also get the same roof on the Cutlass S probably, which was the 442 without the 442 name. They tried to get around the insurance regulations at the time. The banjo steering wheel. Wonder how much that cost to put in there. No snow.
That's what it says Mexico, Michigan.
Yeah, we'll do it that way. It still doesn't match up though, does it, Lester?
Billy Carafano says, Mopar made some cool pink cars.
Yeah.
Jay says, my first car was a 1979 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme.
My grandparents had one of those until it was T-boned by a van from one of the movie studios they lived near in California.
Did they pay?
Yep, they sure did.
Chris says, that would be 1970 if it was a US model bug.
1970 here. I just posted a red 1970 that had those taillights too. So I think 70 or 71 they started the taillights here.
Dean says, Chris, are you watching this with a hot chick just like Mexican Spec is? What about you, Jay? It sounds like a loaded bases. That's baseball.
No comment on that, Mrs. Spec?
I'm confused. Dan says Cutlass SX 455 like a 442, but in the Cutlass Supreme body with its Grand Prix Monte Carlo roof. Vintage says I still have my first car, though it hasn't run since I've had it. It's a 1976 Ford Gran Torino. Hey, so do you.
Yes. My car. If I put gasoline in her, she'll run.
One way.
It doesn't matter how many years I let her sit. I just have to put gasoline in her and she fires right up.
It looks like a toy.
It is a toy compared to real cars.
Chris says 71 will have the eyebrow bent behind the rear quarter windows.
Maybe not here, Chris. Yes, I'm yawning. I'm tired too.
Mini. Oh,
I don't know why they sold minis here. Somebody imported them, I think. I would not want to be driving that on any road in Mexico.
Kim fixes it and says that's because the gasoline in Mexico is in corn. It's in
Yeah,
corn.
but the car sat behind my dad's house in Las Vegas for 20 years in the heat, all that heat. And when the car got here to Mexico, I put fuel down the carburetor and she started right up. The radiator didn't leave, fuel pump worked, everything was just fine after sitting for 20 years in Vegas. So yeah, that's he's like that though.
Dean says 1995 Mini. Dan says dinner's almost ready here. What did you make?
He's at his mom's house. She made.
What? Well, I don't know if he cooked. Maybe he cooked. I don't know.
Doubt that.
Dean says has the EFY and 5-speed.
EFI.
EFI. Sorry.
Things are blurry, but I can still see
I'm
that.
sleepy.
Big Mustangs, we have a lot of them here. 71 twos and threes.
I thought that was a light.
The majority of them are stick shifts. 351 under the hood, stick shift.
71 or 72?
Good question.
Mark wants to know.
So do I. I don't know. You have to look at the front of it. Yeah, the majority are manuals here, 351. If you get the GT 351, it's got the Mach 1 hood on it. So, because they didn't have, well, they did have the Mach 1 here, but they put the Mach 1 parts on the coupe to make it look better.
Dean says, sounds like Jamie is going to send me to the corn. Dean says, chocolate Mustang. Lester
His name
answers,
is Dan. You can't mix
so
up Dean and
sorry,
Dan.
sorry, I should go to bed. Lester says, Bloodstang? What is that? A Mustang?
Bloat stang
Bloodstang?
because it's huge.
So,
It's a bloated Mustang.
blood Mustang. Okay, I was getting there. Hold on, I was getting there. Dean says 351 uh,
4 barrel.
4 barrel, Windsor.
Yeah, that's what this car has, and it has the Mach 1 hood. Kind of hard to see, but it does have it.
And then he says H and M codes. I don't know what those are.
Those are U.S. codes, not here.
Kerosene says those old minis were interesting the way they put the transaxle under the engine.
They didn't have a lot of room to do anything there, I guess.
Dean says Dan, just the same thing.
Are you sure about that? Dan, are you okay being confused with Dean? 20 people here. There must be a lot of people just watching. I appreciate you just watching.
Also leave a like, please.
Yes,
Very please.
we need all the likes we can get. I'm not above begging like Tony is. How do they get this car out of the parking lot with the car sitting right behind them?
When he wasn't there?
Yeah, some of these houses they built, they didn't even have a garage. They just put these blocks in front of the house, and that's how they park the car.
Dean says Danny Boyster drinks, but is less unpredictable.
Inline 6-cylinder colonnade car with a manual.
Lester says Dan, only one letter difference. Kim Fixes Things says the picture and sound quality is great today. Great work, Mrs. Spec. Thank you. Jay says me either, Max. First rule of sales is asking for the sale.
I think the first rule is ABC.
Hmm?
ABC.
What is that?
Always be closing.
Oh.
Right, Jay? Always be closing. I was thinking of TCB, but that doesn't fit. This is obviously an American Dart that's in Mexico for some reason. But it can go right back if the paperwork is correct. 4-door 73. No, Buff. This is a nice car. The rear window is different too, isn't it? The concave window and roof.
Main Street Mopars here.
Hey, Ken. Welcome.
Yes, great work, Mrs. Spec, says Lester. Thank you, Lester. Thank you, Kim. We did figure out the settings. Thank you to Kim to remind me that there's also settings in the PC that we should check before doing the stream because the microphones weren't set as the main mic. It was a microphone on the computer, so that changes a lot of things.
Yeah, so many settings to get what you want.
Jay says, yes, I haven't asked for likes, subscribers, and comments in a while, but I'm trying something different now. Dr. Campos says, yep, different window.
What is more elegant than a black Ford Galaxy 2-door Landau, 2-door hardtop? Black really makes this car. Look better from the front.
Dean says, sure, we could hack into it. Ute everything.
Nah, not my thing. I'm not a truck guy. That's a whole lot of unusable space out in the back. If you leave anything out there, it gets stolen, so you just don't use it. I would change the wheels on this to something period correct. But it probably rides great on the highway.
Dean says, nothing. I'll bet it does a mean burnout.
With a Mexican engine, yes, probably.
Vintage says, I'll be back. I have to take my supervisor to the store.
Okay, can you get me some potato chips, please?
Es usted.
You guys have the good Doritos over there. We don't. Get me some Doritos.
Josh says, looks more sporty than elegant.
The black just does it on this car. And you open the door and it's got red guts. Jumps out at you.
Chris says, the Aussies slash Kiwis and their youth gasms. Dean says, well said, Josh. Jay says, I know what you can do in the back of a pickup bed. And he raises his hand.
He's clapping, I think.
No, he's raising his hand.
He's raising his hand?
Yep.
Oh. Really, Jay? Because that would be in public and not legal. If it was a station wagon, you could do it inside and have no problem.
I think you will still have a problem with the police if they cut you.
You're in a car. Tell them to fuck off.
I don't think you would be able to. According to all of the movies that I've seen.
Oh, movies, okay.
Yes, movies. Lester says Galaxy looks better without vinyl roof.
Yeah, the smooth roof looks good on these.
Dean says, yes, you can put more tacos in the trunk if it's a ute.
There's no trunk on a ute. It's just open and then they fly out and get cold.
Kerosene says, in Mexico, do the paperwork requirements vary from state to state like the USA or uniform for whole country?
It's basically the same thing. You have the original owner's document, which is signed over to you. We can take a vehicle from one state to another, and it's no problem. You just apply for the license plates. There's no, it's not like it is over there that they create all these extra rules for you. If you can show you own the car, with the correct bill of sale or whatever, the car is put in your name. Just the way there's nothing complicated about it. And assuming the plates are paid up to the current year, if not, you have to pay the back fees on it.
Jay confirms he was raising his hand. Dean says Mexican inspector is thinking about appropriate behavior.
I'm thinking about not going to jail for doing something in the back of a pickup truck.
Mean Street Mopar says, I still have my first car. It's a 1973 Plymouth Duster, slant 6, with a 3-speed manual on the floor. I never got it running. The engine was worn out.
How could a slant 6 be worn out? Everybody says they last forever. Except the one that I had.
Except for that one.
Right.
Towel's here, and he says, am I late?
Hey, Towel. No, you're right on time. We're 1/3 of the way through the pictures.
Jay says, what happens if the original owner certificate is lost? Can you still register or sell the car?
The problem with that is you have to have a trial. That's what happened with the black Dart that I sold, and which is the paperwork they did not accept in the U.S. The paperwork was lost, so there was a trial held. Witnesses were presented saying that this woman has had the car for however many years, and the judge deemed that the car belonged to her, so she got the court documents saying that she could now go get her license plates and her name on that vehicle. But otherwise, if you lose the original paperwork, that's it. There's no way you could do anything with the car.
Mm-hmm. It's legal here, but apparently the U.S. has a problem with it.
Yeah. If Judge Judy's deemed, even she's not even a judge, if she deemed that the car belongs to this person when it belonged to that person before, you take the court documents down there and they put it in that person's name. They did not accept those documents in the U.S. from Mexico.
Dean says, wild horses could not drag me away from your lyrics. Wait for it.
I don't want to wait for it.
Kim says, they are durable, but slant 6s wear out.
Well, I bought a 75 Dart, Kim, a 2-door, and brought the mechanic over with me. I bought the car, brought the mechanic over with me to drive to his house so he can do some stuff on it. Halfway there, push rod's bent for some reason. Car was running great, so we had to take the engine apart at his house and replace a whole bunch of parts and stuff. After that, the car ran really well.
Kerosene says people exaggerate. Jay says, wow, wonder if there's a good forger out there making them.
No, because, for example, my 74 Dart 4-door out here was originally sold here in this town. So when I took it to get it registered in my name, actually in Mrs. Spec's name, they delayed the process by calling the Chrysler dealer and trying to verify that the paperwork that I presented was real. So it was taking a while. So I had already contacted the Chrysler dealer about the car before, asking them, can you try to find the original folder for this car? Because I actually have the second um, bill of sale it was sold a second time. The car was sold and then returned to the dealership shortly after there, and then they sold it a second time, the same dealership. So I asked them, can you find this file? And they weren't able to find this file. So when they were delaying me, that office over there, so I went over to the dealership and I saw the manager and he says, oh, if I knew it was you, I would have just told him right away, it's fine. So, okay, I'll give him a call right now. So then I went back over there and yeah, everything was fine and I got my license plates and everything. So yeah, they try to verify as much as they can. You cannot go in there with fake documents because they'll know it.
Dean says, you know, Vanelli's 1987 song Wild Horses features the exact line, Wild horses could not drag me away from you. Uno says, I'm back. Sorry, I keep forgetting you don't have to shovel sand where you live, but this white stuff won't stop. Sand? Do you live in a beach? Or are you talking
No, he's
about
talking about snow.
snow? Okay. Uno says, do you turn the volume on the speakers off?
No,
No, did something change on the
I
volume?
can see the graph on the volume and it's very loud. It's going
And
almost all the way up. It's into the yellow. I can do it into the red. There we go.
stop
That was
it.
into the red.
I didn't change any of the settings on the volume. The only thing that I did was pause the video for a second.
You pause the vehicles.
Yeah, the video. Well,
Yeah,
the it's called the slideshow.
yeah, slideshow.
Jesus keep the white stuff in Canada. Can you? I wanna get another drink. Can you get this?
Did
Well,
you
you don't
did
need
you
it.
no.
I'll just hold it for.
Dean says, I know you'll be glad I stopped short of reciting the rest of the lyrics. I was courting with Mrs. Ecstasy in 1987, but I had an escort van, not a flatbed truck. Yeah, the escort will work. Do you call station wagons vans over there, Dean? Kerosene. What year did fuel injection become commonplace in
Ay, qué
Mexico?
rica pata.
That's hard to say because, for example, on the Volkswagen Beetles, it was 1994. Um, I couldn't tell you on Ford trucks or anything else. Couldn't tell you on any of that stuff. I can tell you that in the mid 80s, I think it was 1987 or 88, before Ford started using electronic ignition in their trucks. Before that, it was points and condenser into the 80s. So that'll give you some idea about how things were here in Mexico. We don't have any alcohol in the house, Jay. You'll have to get it from your local store. Dean says, we call them panel vans. Escort wagons have windows you can see into. They sold a panel van over there on the Escort. I'm sure you have a different Escort, but it was a panel van. Uno says, station wagons are vans or estates, and trucks are lorries. Don't ask what those backwards baked bean tethers call cigarettes. Oh, I already know what they call cigarettes. Oh, nice safari. Wasn't even looking at the pictures. Jay, wonder what happened to the original body stamps for the Beetles built in Mexico. They're stamped into the body. Under the back seat is the VIN and the VIN under the seat, just like every other car. Same with the other, not even the air cooled, but when I sold my 2011 Volkswagen Crossfox, when it went for a VIN inspection at the police station, they lifted up the back seat and there was a VIN stamped right into the body, right there. The officer commented how clean the car was. Yeah, the car was only 2 years old, with like 7,000, 8,000 kilometers on it or whatever when I sold it. Chris said to Jay, they were probably worn out by the time the last Beetles came off the line. No, stamps for making the fenders. Oh, you mean the machines? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, who knows? They're probably in storage at the Puebla factory because nobody else was making them. Uno asks, "What's the best soda pop that you can only get around you?" I sent that Lupo to you. Thank you for the email, but the only thing I drink is Mexican Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. That's the only thing that I drink. Actually, I don't even drink it. I freeze it and eat it. And other than that, every once in a while, a Fanta, orange, naranja. Fanta fresa tastes like medicine to me, so I stay away from it. Dean says, yep, refrigerator white escort vans were used everywhere for municipal electrical companies. That's where my dad got our 75 escort 45 panel van, 1300cc HV engine, 4.44 to 1 axle. I'm going to have to look up a New Zealand escort and see what it looks like. In Guadalajara, the city cars were all white Beetles. It didn't matter what department, it didn't matter what they needed to do. I remember seeing not over there but over here, like they would come to your house to put cable in your house or something, and they were driving a Beetle, and they had long ladders just sticking out the back of the car, and just everything was in the car. And they use Beetles for everything here, absolutely everything. Then they went to I've seen them in the Chevy Spark, all the smallest cars you can get. They use, they put long ladders on them and they drive them around and putting stuff in people's houses. They didn't go for pickup trucks at all. Jay says they make AC Cobras in South Africa from the original stamps. Superformance sells the kit. And Jay also wants watermelon soda from Coca-Cola from China. I can't imagine what that would taste like. EFOG, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm gonna have to get back with the guy on the yellow Safari. I never got back with him. Or the guy on the Fairmont wagon. This is a holiday weekend, so I wasn't really making any connections with anybody. Dean says, yep, Kiwis use transit vans or escort panel vans, like the cable guy, only more foreign. Chris says to Jay, there's a place at the Galleria Mall that might have that soda. EFOG. Jay, fist bump. Hi, Foggy. Dean says, welcome. Kerosene. How common are Beetles in Mexico today? Within a block from my house, let's see, there's 3 in front of a guy's house here. There's a perfect red one on the street over there. And down the street the other way, there's a dark green one sitting in a guy's garage. They're all over the place still. Jay says it takes amazing. I had it at Epcot. You can go to Las Vegas. I think they have it there.
What?
Glenn Nickerson is here.
Oh no.
Welcome, Glenn. There's an alarm of some kind.
Hold on.
Hopefully they take the seeds out before they make watermelon soda. Jay says to Chris, I will check it out.
What's
they
here?
are from the same area.
What's here?
Glenn Nickerson and EFOG. Look how clean this little Datsun steak truck is. Steak bed is. Somebody's really taking care of this thing. The Datsun 620. Definitely not used for work anymore. Or somebody restored it, maybe. Hey, you guys, that picture just gave me with roll-up windows in the far up position. Where should the window handle be? This one is facing straight up, so your legs aren't hitting it. Where do you think that should be? Jay, I don't have the prices on these. Send me an email and I'll get you the prices on them. This one I didn't add because I don't sell these kind of vehicles, but I can find it again. Dean says Dean is singing again. I don't sing, so.
Are you singing, Dean? I don't know the song.
Tabo says a farmer near me uses a 620 on the farm still. Yeah, they don't die. They just don't die.
What is 620?
But look how nice this truck is inside and out.
Is that a
This is
620?
a Datsun 620
Ah,
pickup. Just beautiful. If you want to, you can find a bed for it and put a Datsun bed on it, paint it the same color, and have a gorgeous truck.
that was says window cranks should be down and forward.
Okay, but your knee's gonna hit it that way.
And Jay says, I'm just window shopping. Les says I should be down.
Everybody does it their own way, but like in this one, there's not a lot of room, so I'm assuming they put it up so the guy's leg doesn't hit it or his knee. That looks very hot in the sun to me. The bed floor there.
Yeah. And Dean says, oh, that's cool because they knocked the California one down to CF. The CA down, the CA one down to CF.
I don't know.
Sorry, I don't know.
This has the overhead valve engine in it. We didn't get the overhead cam engines here in the Datsuns.
Sabo says depends where the crank is mounted. If in balance, down and forward, clears knees.
Okay. Yeah, there's not a lot of room in this in the Datsun, so probably why they did that. I very much dislike when people paint the whole dashboard and instruments and everything the same color as the car. It's not supposed to be that way, and it would require work to put it back to how it's supposed to be.
Buff del Campo agrees with Tavo, saying that's correct, down and forward.
I had to put at least one Maverick in here. Always a crowd pleaser. But too much of the same color just doesn't work for me.
Jay says I like it, looks cool.
Too much of the same color though. The instrument should be black, I think. The bezels for the instrument should be black like they came from the factory. Which means in this one you would have to find other ones to go in because you're not getting that paint off there.
Dean says, wait, he's singing.
Yeah, Dean sings.
Dean is singing. Tavo says body color dash belongs on 1940s trucks. And Jay says black is boring.
Yes, but the black is offset of the other paint that they did on the dash. Otherwise, it just looks like a sea of the same color. You don't know the heater controls are different from the other part of the dash. And they painted over all of the writing on the heater control. Not that it has a heater, but still. Anybody know what this car is called? And don't say junk.
I was gonna say Steve.
No.
Stop.
The wheels don't really belong in this car, but pretty straight for an F body.
Buff del Campo guesses Valiant.
Nope.
Carolson Cucumbers guesses Aspen.
Nope. Well, that gave it away. Darn. No, Glenn.
Glenn says Aspen Charger.
It says right there on the back.
Stop it. Lester Saver says Will Dastic. Buff del Campo
Wheeltastic.
guesses Dart. Bully Carafano guesses Roadrunner. And Jay guesses Super B.
It is a Super B. Yes. 360 in the under the hood.
Jay says I win.
Why it says Super B on the back, I don't know. It's not necessary. That's a one-piece tail on it, which they did not have. They had a three piece on them, I think, because I've had a few of the three piece tails, spoilers that I've sold. But this guy wants way too much for an F body. I don't care what's under the hood. It is a manual though, so that makes it more fun.
Jay says that painted dash looks amazing compared to the Super V decals.
Mm, yeah,
Dean Stevenson says two-door Falcon Maverick, poor man's DBS Aston Martin.
very poor man. Oh, that's terrible, Tanner. We don't get regular Doritos here. They have chili, so I don't eat them.
Lester says Ubique to Mexico bumpers. Oh, unique to Mexico bumpers.
Is it? They weren't regular bumpers?
I got it, Lester. I got it.
Oh,
Kerosene says, how long did they use the Slant 6 in Mexico?
that's a good question. Well into the 80s. Well into the 80s. I hear there's a following for these trucks, these Chinook Toyota motorhomes. This one was never legalized in Mexico, but it is the 78 version. I don't know exactly what year it is, but it's the 78 body. It's not the 79.
Dean says, welcome, Tanner. Nice hair, man. Jamie's envious. And Tavo says, nice early Toyota camper.
Yeah, it's called a Chinook. That's who made them. Oh, it lifts too. Look, you can stand up in it.
Main Street Moper. Wait, wasn't Main Street Moper here before?
Yes.
Why is everyone
But
saying
Tanner is saying hi to him because Mean Street Mopar said hi to Tanner.
Okay.
Tanner was gone for a while.
Jay says if you ever see Hers baby back ribs flavored potato chips, buy them all. They are the best.
I bet you it has gluten in it though, Jay, for the flavoring. They put a lot of gluten and stuff like that. This little motorhome is pretty nice inside.
Especially the barbecue stuff.
Yeah. This is pretty nice inside. Very orange or red or whatever you want to call it. "21 people here. We have quite a few people just watching, which is fine. I hope you're enjoying the slideshow of what some people call unobtainium or yeah, an unobtainium fruit. Cars you're not allowed to have.
Jay says those chips could have arsenic in them. I will still eat them. They are that amazing.
Yeah. But I can't take that chance.
Efox says dig looking at these cars.
Dig looking at these cars. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Thank you, EFOG.
That's why I stopped, so you can see that it was a different word. Dean says Dacia in Eastern Europe.
This one is a Dacia? This one? The Renault?
Mm.
Why would they change the name?
Dean says they have a great front drive engine, good gearbox, great ride.
I haven't driven one yet. I'm sure I will at some point.
Main Street Moper says Mexican Spec, did they sell Moper performance parts at the dealership here?
I honestly can't tell you, Ken, because I wasn't there at the time. But right now, I don't think so. We don't really do performance anything here.
Jay says that's what Mrs. Spec said. See, that's what I said. Vintage says to Chris, I'm not married yet, so that's probably why I still have most of my hair.
You think there's a connection between it with that, Tanner?
You still have most right here.
Tanner, do the men in your mother's family still have their hair? That's the way to look at it.
Glenn says, any junkyards down your way, Spec?
Glenn, there is no old cars in junkyards here. There was a great yard by the highway out there that had hundreds of cars. There was Fox body Mustangs or old Chryslers. There were the F bodies that I got the three piece spoilers off of. And then the price of metal, the price of iron went up, and they crushed them all gone. This was years and years and years ago. So nobody around here has any parts in the junkyard. You have to look on Facebook to see who's parting one out, and then hopefully if you pay, hopefully they'll send you the part if you pay them. That's about the best we can do.
Kerosene says, are French cars popular in Mexico?
They were cheap, so people bought them. People are still buying Renaults and Peugeots here. Why? I don't know, but they're better than Chinese cars. I can tell you that.
Dean says, Renault 12 was made in Romania, and Romania was Dacia in the Roman days.
Oh, okay.
Chris says, the vintage is not the wives, it's the kids that do the damage. Lol. Jay says, French cars come standard with a white flag.
For surrender.
Dabo says, later R12 models were named Mirage down here.
They gave him a name, huh?
Vintage says, the men in my mother's family still have hair and are all divorced. There's a connection, I swear.
Then you should be fine for through most of your life.
Dean says, made by LNC in Heidelberg,
Yeah.
a Nissan Datsun plant wasn't it, Dabo. Vintage says to Chris, I don't have those either. I'm single, kidless, and going out to have fun with the ladies.
You have cats though, Tanner, so
Glenn says to Vintage, I'm married, have a full head of hair, but I went from dark to gray in a short period of time. Coincidence?
I'm still going gray. My son lives with his mother, always has. So yeah, maybe there's a coincidence there.
Mark says fiberglass cowl hood.
I don't know. Oh, this one already sold. I only had two decent pictures of it. But this was the top of the line Malibu that came in Mexico with a 350 under the hood and either a manual or an automatic in it. It was a top of the line car. But you had to have a vinyl roof with it, with the V8.
Sorry, that answers before you said it. He said Malibu.
Yep.
Dean says, Mark, the other English speakers here would surrender if they lived on the Horn of or Europe. After Napoleon, they all had it in for the French. Dean says, it's great, and the Pontiac too.
This is a decent looking car. They just want a lot of money for them here. And it doesn't really have Trans Am taillights. So somebody put those in there.
Vintage says to Glenn, you will know better than I do. And Mark says, okay. Okay, to what? Fiber cowl hood?
I don't know, Mark.
Fiberglass cowl hood?
I was looking at the chat. I wasn't looking at what car you're even talking about. Power windows, no tilt. A black Trans Am.
Hot. It's still hot.
Don't spill it on this.
No.
No spilling of coffee. That is Kim's thing.
On this is golden milk. If I spill it, everything gets stained.
Mm. Well, don't do it then.
Johnny C says, I love my 78 black on black TA with T-tops. I had the velour seats. Dan says, proud to be an OK from Muskogee.
Muskegee. That was pronounced.
Mark says, to take note, the Turbo Trans Am has the head of the Phoenix turned to the driver's side. All other Trans Am birds were facing the passenger side.
Was that from the factory, or did they screw up putting the bird on?
Buddy Carafana says, Trans Am needs T-tops.
We can just make it a Targa.
Kim fixes things, says, oh my god, I spilled so much coffee. I didn't saw, do it again.
You can watch it at the beginning of the live.
Dean says, Kimbergini, you reposed from that. It was a great life. Repost. Glenn says, got the snowblower out today and started on one pool. Talking snow Tuesday too soon. Tuesday too soon for me. Want the first snowfall in mid-February. Jay says, hey, the latest Hallmark Channel film about a firefighter was filmed by me.
Was it?
Vintage
like
says,
filmed?
Vintage says, I'm an Okie, but not from Muskogee. That place is too close to Tulsa for me. Driving the ambulance in Tulsa sucks.
Mm. Vintage, Tanner, are you watching the show Tulsa King?
I knew you were gonna ask that. Why did I know you were
Of
gonna
course
ask
I'm
that?
gonna ask that. With Sylvester Stallone as a mob guy. Every time I see the show, I'm just thinking, where's Monkey Wrench Mike? He lives there. Why aren't we seeing his Mercedes around?
Mark says the green Malibu had a cowl hood on it. I can tell it was fiberglass because it was so
coming up.
wavy.
Yeah.
Johnny says I sold it long before they were valuable. Dan says hell yeah, Jay. Vintage says I don't know about Snowfall, but the Christmas lights are already up. I'll be looking at them with a female friend Wednesday. Ooh. Dean says repost is equals bounce back recovered well. Oh, okay, thank you. Jay says yes.
Put that in your vocabulary from now on.
I'm gonna forget tomorrow or later on today. Mark says no, it was factory. The turbo TA didn't have a shaker hood scoop, and it's the only time the bird face is left.
Well, it's a shame if it's a turbo Trans Am body. It has a 454 Chevy under the hood.
Dean says it's such a great series.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Johnny,
I identify a lot with the Sylvester Stallone's character.
Johnny says owed parents some money, and it was the only way to repay them back in '86. Vintage says my brother loves Tulsa King, but I don't watch much TV. I've seen about 30 minutes of the show total. Dan says Repose needs to cut her damn hair. Jay says if the vintage fire truck they have at the station where it was filmed that I wired the spotlights on that truck.
Okay.
Jay says if it makes the film.
Yeah, if.
Dean says it's useless knowledge, Mrs. Mixing and Spec. Mark says I like Tulsa King.
This car that's on the screen right now is a Mexico only car called the Lerma. It was two cars that were welded together. I think it's the Spirit in the rear and the Concorde in the front, and they welded them together. And they presented the car to US AMC. This was in like 1980, and they didn't want to make it. It was time consuming to make it because they had to weld the two cars together. But it was a Mexico only car. It came in a 2-door hatchback or a 4-door hatchback, and it was the luxury car of the line. But in 1983, for the 83 model year, Mexico disallowed all of the luxury option parts that were being brought in from the United States into Mexico. So they couldn't make any more of these cars. They just stopped making them. So there's only 2 years they were made.
Dan A. Boyd says living on Tulsa time. Dean says Concord Spirit Animal. Jay says, hey, that's my Lambo project. Two cars welded together. Dean says it did look great. Kerosene says, are Saabs and Volvos popular in Mexico?
No. They sold some Saabs here later on when Saab was owned by I don't remember who, because my son's mother's cousin had one, and then of course he was unalived, and then I don't know what happened with the car. So I think it just sat and sat and sat after that.
I'm
But
sorry.
no, Swedish cars were not sold here. There's a few here, but I don't know where they get parts. This is a very pretty little car. Mark, yes, in the U.S. it was a Datsun 200SX. In Mexico it's called a Datsun Sakura. Sakura, Sakura, and it's got the same small engine that Datsun pickup had, the overhead valve engine. But this is a very nice little example of it. There's not many around that look this good.
Sorry. Dean says like a Rover 3500 SDI. Mark says that's on 200SX. Jay says I have lots of Volvo content. Jay says I want a P1800 Volvo. Dean says it's very polite. Sorry for your loss, Mexican Spec.
Wasn't my loss, but okay, thanks.
Vintage says there's a hibachi grill the next town over called Sakura. I like their sushi.
Mm-hmm.
Josh says General Motors owned Saab for a while.
Yeah, for a while they did.
One Eyed Cat 3072 is here.
Thank you for stopping in, Don.
He says stop by for support. Howdy y'all. Howdy y'all. I can't say that. Sorry.
Well, that's because he didn't write it. It just says howdy all.
Well, I just can't pronounce it at all.
Is everything getting blurry for you?
I'm sleepy, man. Dean says I like Swedish rounding. Jay, Swedish rounding. What's Swedish rounding? Jay says GM destroyed Saab, and Lester says it's all the black from the factory.
Yes, Lester, the bumpers and all that. There was a girl in my high school that I liked a lot, and her parents gave her a dark blue Datsun 200SX like this. So seeing one of these cars always reminds me of her.
Okay, but my question to that statement was: did the part where you liked her a lot was necessary to insert in that sentence?
Yes, it was.
Why? Why was it necessary?
Because it would have just been a girl from school, and then I wouldn't have had any personal information about it.
Why did they need personal information? She had a car. That's
right.
it.
There's a connection there. It makes for a better story.
I said that's it now. That's it. Okay, I see.
You want to know her name?
No, I don't want to know her name. Go away. No, you're gonna say it. Stop it. No.
It's not a common name.
I don't care what name it is. Don't say it.
It's not a common
I
name.
don't care. I don't care. Jay, stop it, you two. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna leave you here for the live. You guys can handle it.
No, buddy, the car didn't interest me. She was just very.
The car didn't interest. Okay, I see.
She was just a nice person.
Sure. She was a nice. She had a nice personality. Sure.
She was just a nice person. I had been to her house once or twice. She was one of those.
Are we still going?
She was one of those that lived south of the border, south of Ventura Boulevard, where all the people with money did. That was like a different world to me. Like, how can anybody possibly afford any of these houses? Or live in a house like that?
Dean says, Jeff the crumbling cookie took out the Swedish chief. And Dan says GM destroys everything they touch. Jay says I like Joy Van Halen and she has the Volvo content I asked her on my live stream. Dan says I love my life like there's no tamales. Dean says Mexican Spec equals shallow hall. Johnny
No, she was
says
actually cute.
you have beautiful boys, no competition. Jay says her car was the DA trim level.
I'm glad you don't get that one.
Glenn says, don't worry, Mrs. Beck, he got the best price and he knows it. Fox says, interesting truck.
I think it's sold, but somebody actually built this thing. Very odd looking Chevrolet. Kind of mini motorhome, but like a carry-all something. I believe something like this was sold in the US too, but I can't remember the name of the company that made them. But with the Chevrolet, people just buy a Suburban. So
All right, I'm drinking.
couldn't figure out the clutch, Tanner. Is it something that's that difficult? He doesn't drive a stick shift?
Oh, that's good. What was I? Dean says, that's right, Johnny. I don't know who's Johnny. Vintage says, I went on to the house of the girl I'm currently sweet on. Her brother tried driving another buddy's truck that day, but couldn't figure out the clutch. Hey, you couldn't figure out reverse on the on the dart, was it?
That's because it was blocked out. It wasn't there at the time. Smoke Up Johnny's above. Johnny's one of our posters.
Kerosene says all those Datsuns had OHB engines. Did you get any performance oriented engine S?
Really, not until the 90s, kerosene. The Nissan Suru came out, which was the Sentra over in the US, with the GSR 2000 or 2000 GSR model, which I think was the SER in the US. But as a general rule, no, and not in the Datsun or anything. It's with the Mustang you're looking at now. All of those came with V8 engines. We never had a 6-cylinder or a 4-cylinder Mustang in Mexico ever, not from 64 and a half up until 1984 when they stopped production. Every Mustang sold in Mexico was a V8. Every Monte Carlo sold was a V8. Every Cavalier sold in Mexico was a 6-cylinder until the overhead valve. What was that engine?
Mm-hmm.
The 4-cylinder that came out afterwards that took over for the 6. Yeah, they always used the biggest engines they that were available in the cars, but they use small engines in trucks. It should have been the other way around because the trucks need to work, but who am I to say? Who knows?
Dean says they rev to 6,600 RPM. They are B series replicas. And then he says, but the engine is very, very reliable.
Yes, it just runs and runs and runs.
Vintage says the girl's brother is a buddy named Robert. He's never been able to drive a manual. We still poke fun at him over it occasionally. Years later, we did earlier this month. Oh, okay. We still poke fun at him over it occasionally. Years later, we did earlier this month. Dean says, "Yum, bubble bags rock." Mark says, I didn't ever have to figure out a clutch, but my older brother came to visit the family a long time ago and had a 390 Javelin 4-speed. It took me a minute to find how to put it in reverse. Mark says it had a Hurst shifter. I figured out. Dan says I had an 84 bubble pack.
The Capri.
Jay says nice interior on this one. Kerosene says, did you get the Datsun Z?
No, there's a few here right now, but they were never sold here.
Dan says, Hertz, shifter, and 12-volt posse.
I had always been car centric, you know, watching my father drive the car, stick shift, automatic, whatever. So when I was about 15, I was with a friend of mine in Van Nuys, and he had a Datsun F10. He threw me the keys and said, say, go here, 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 and here, and then come back. So I had a choice whether to just sit there or to drive the car. Since I've been watching people drive forever, it was not difficult to me. I never stalled the car, shifted like I was supposed to, you know, taking off, slowing down, everything. It just seemed like second nature to me. So it's kind of odd when people say that, oh, he can't drive a stick. It's common sense. There's no magic to it. When you feel the clutch start to engage, you start pushing the gas pedal down, and the car moves. Not difficult at all.
Just because you're fast doesn't mean everyone else is.
I don't care. They're supposed to be.
You're so rude. Shit, I lost it. Dean says 432 Hertz shifter. Mark says Sedan 12-volt. Low. Dean says Hertz mega shifter. Vintage says to Dean, we prefer a 440 here in the US. Jay says, I rebuyed my friend's 1992 Datsun 280CX. I hadn't ran since 1999. Gabo says, old 240Z were numerous down here. Then, for some reason, became unloved, and many were scrapped. Now worth a fortune. 280/300Z, not so much. Stop it. Johnny says, always funny remembering when these were new, going to look at them and being young and broke at the same time.
Yeah. Well, the way to get around that, Johnny, was to work at the dealership, and you get to play with all the new cars, and nobody can tell you no.
Dean says, the Magnus Opus. Tanner.
I worked at a Chevy dealer in, oh, I'll save that story. Look at this Renault 5. That's all I'm going to say. Not saying anything else. Comments? This is a Renault Lacar for you guys in the US. A Renault Lacar.
Vintage says, try driving my satellite aluminum flywheel touchy clutch. It's a hard one not to stall when you first go to drive it.
Come on, Tavo. You've never seen one that looks like this.
Dan says to Mark, a common spelling or grammar error in the days of the printed Auto Trader publications. Dean says, Ren and Stimpy 5. Tavo says, I'd rather not. Jay says, pimped out Renault. Mark says, Sudan, Lotro. Chris says, didn't they make a souped up version of the Renault 5?
Yeah, it was the 5 Turbo that put the engine in the middle of the vehicle, and nobody can afford them these days.
Jay says, looks like my Mitsubishi Mirage.
Does it?
Dean says, mid-engine R5 turbo. Dan says, the rope said, I'd rather not. Josh says, probably the only Renault 5 that can get out of its own way.
Yeah. But this, I don't know where this guy got the body kit, the turn signals, the headlights. None of it looks like R5 parts. But man, it looks good for an R5. Wide body. That's true, Dean. A Mirage can be anything you like.
Mark says, here the funny expression I found with GM products, it was calling the engine an American big block if it wasn't a Chevy engine.
I'm going to publish this Renault and see if anybody jumps on it.
Glenn says, saw one at an auto show in Boston back in the early 80s.
Glenn, are you talking about a Turbo 5? There's been a few of them around. There was one here that had the Turbo 5 body kit on it and everything, but it wasn't the mid-engine, but it was well on its way to looking like one.
Dean says, I'm afraid D. I don't know what that is. Jay says,
Afraid.
um, Jay says Renault engine is the DeLorean, I think. In the DeLorean, I think.
It's something like that. Renault, Peugeot, whatever. It's all the same thing.
Glenn says turbo car.
This is a Volkswagen Atlantic. The color's nice, at least.
Mark says, are those amp capacitors on the ceiling?
Capacitors.
Capacitors?
I don't know what an amp capacitor is. My cars have AM radios from the factory. That's about all I know about it.
Johnny says, I remember
Audio
the car. Was that a Renault?
Yes, it was a Renault. Somebody did a lot of work on that black car to make it look completely different.
Chris says to J. Peugeot, Renault, Volvo. BRB6.
2 of those are sold here in Mexico new already, still.
Dean says, yes, Johnny C.
This car, I just noticed in the picture from the rear, I would not buy this car. The left tail light is darker than the right tail light. Chris, you know what that means on a Volkswagen. This thing has been putting out black smoke for a long time, making that left tail light darker. So it's not something I would want to get into.
Tabo says my Ute still has its AM radio, sorry. And Chris says the rear bumper is sagging.
Probably.
Jay says, did you know the Volkswagen Tiguan is a made-up word from tiger and iguana?
No, I didn't know that. My buddy bought 2 of them. He bought one, of course, it was stolen at gunpoint. Then he bought another one exactly like it because he was smart.
Johnny says, you used to see them quite often, but they seem to have disappeared.
Yeah, the first generation Jetta, nobody really cares about them. But on this one, it says Atlantic right on the steering wheel. So you know what it is. It's an Atlantic.
Jay says Volkswagen is a German Lada.
That's not a compliment. Carry all time. Those wagon wheels? I think so, but they were painted silver. Everything was painted silver. So that kind of tells you who owns it. I posted a 2-wheel drive 81 carryall yesterday with the Bronco package on it. And it surprised me that the gas door is towards the back of the vehicle, not like on this one in the middle of the left side. I wasn't even sure that they had the parts for that in Mexico, but it is a 2-wheel drive. It's basically a 2-wheel drive Bronco. Stick shift, of course, 302 stick shift.
Jay says Chris Renault cast engine blocks for Mac.
That was pretty powerful stuff.
George says at least that Ford truck is honest about the fact that it is a slow moving vehicle.
Yes, they are very slow moving vehicles. I think the highest I got that one up to was what, 100 kilometers per hour with Jason's truck. 100, 110, something like that. Yeah. But it's got the truck transmission with the first is a granny gear, so it's not really made to be on the highway a whole lot. It's an around town truck.
Chris says Jay, not to self, don't buy a Mac, lol.
Hey car. Yeah. Even on the K cars, they use some Plymouth parts and they use some Dodge parts. So sometimes it has a Plymouth front end, sometimes it has the Dodge front end. Same on the taillights. And then sometimes they have the Dodge 400 front end with the Dodge Aries rear end.
Dan says Volkswagen comes up with some stupid names. Dean says, wow, some number of miles per hour. Dan says, could it be more red? Chris says,
It could
Dan,
be,
it's
yes.
manual.
Yeah, most of them were manuals here, Chris.
Johnny says, seems very decade the automotive landscape changes. Seems every decade the automotive landscape changes.
Johnny, when I was working at the Chevy dealer in 1987, I always thought, what if somebody stood across the street from the dealership from 1960 to 1987 and took a picture every year from the exact same spot and watched the cars change every year? The difference between the 60s cars and the 70s cars and the 70s and the 80s, it was just amazing, the differences. And then you like put that in a, you look at the pictures one after the other like a slideshow. Man, that would have been great. You can't do that anymore because the cars are the same year after year after year after year. Nothing changes.
Jay says, sounds like they just made AMCs in Mexico.
All makes combined, you mean? Kind of.
Dean says, nice Fira T-Bird.
Look at the interior pictures though, Dean. Something you won't will never see in a US car.
Johnny says, yes, I agree.
Look what's sticking up in the middle of the center console. This is a 3.8 liter V6 5-speed manual Thunderbird. They didn't sell that in the US. They only sold a stick shift in the turbo coupe.
Dean says, hold on, what are you trying to say? I think he's trying to say, but watching this is like car corn to me, so I'll stay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the word corn because I can't say the other word. I don't think.
No, let's not. Let's not. Let's not.
Okay. Dan says AMC in the place to be.
Is Dennis still here? Mopar Den still here? This one's for him.
And Josh says the motors they use in the power mirrors of those 80s Thunderbirds are the same ones they use in Tyco slot cars.
Really? Huh. You have to buy it at a Ford dealer?
Johnny says great option. Cullen says the problem with German cars are that they are over-engined and loaded with plastic parts under the hood.
Over
Over-engineered,
engineered.
sorry.
Yeah.
I have the tablet down low so I can't see. Jay says, yes, building them out of whatever body parts were available on the shelf. Today is Plymouth Diplomat, tomorrow a Lincoln Torino.
But Jay, they did it on purpose so that the Mexican cars did not look like the U.S. cars. Every manufacturer did that. I mean, the Monte Carlo looked like the Monte Carlo, but the inside had a different interior. So there were differences between the Mexican cars and the U.S. cars.
Dean is singing. Johnny says, I never understood why they didn't offer a manual in the Retro T-Bird.
If you're talking about the 2002 model, probably because they couldn't get it past emissions. That was probably why. And who was buying those T-Birds anyway? Mostly very, very old people.
Dean says proper gear shift.
Yeah, that's what you need in a Thunderbird, a stick shift. Some Cougars were also sold in Mexico, but I don't think I've ever seen a stick shift in a Cougar in Mexico. Even the Super Coupe, the XR7. Sorry. Yes, Caribe. They put all kinds of colors on Caribes here. All kinds. You know, we have not seen Dr. Spec,
No.
and he knew about this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this, Dr. Spec, show your face.
Dan says Mexican Monte was like a
Beaumont.
Beaumont Pontiac dash in a Chevy.
Yes, but it was actually a Chevy, Dan. The Canadian Pontiac, Canadian Chevys up there were actually Pontiacs. No, the actual Pontiacs up there were actually Chevys.
Mark says, you've heard of the Iraqi taxi.
Yeah, all of those Malibus that were strip models but stick shifts.
Buddy Carafano says, those headlights are ugly.
The first thing we do is take those out and put regular headlights back in these cars.
Dean says, just like the 1983 to 1988 four-cylinder T5 5-speed turbo coupe Thunderbirds.
Right, that's what I said. The stick shift only came in the turbo coupe, but in Mexico you could get it with the V6, just a regular standard Thunderbird. You could get the stick shift. There was no V8s in the Thunderbirds here though, for some reason. Well,
Jay's
I know the reason they outlawed the V8 in '85.
outlawed.
Yeah.
Jay says, I like cougars, especially when they are in good shape. Johnny says, they didn't come with hip replacement. Haha, I can relate now.
Yeah. Right.
Dan says he's doing a Star Trek episode. And Jay says, Parisian. Dan says, Chibi. Mark says, yeah, they were only 3-speed stick shifts. Sorry,
I'm shaking my head in case you can't see that.
you probably can't.
SMH. We're down to 18. 3 people abandoned us. This is a truck that Tony needs. Tony needs a Comanche. Tony could have put a shell on a Comanche and put his dogs in there.
Dean says the SXP6 is a favorite engine of mine. It's not a great engine, but I like it. On 4-eyed Pride, I've helped people rejuvenate theirs.
I didn't have good luck with mine. We had an '83 Capri here, and we had the engine gone through, and I don't remember what they did, but the heads were off and everything. Sat in my backyard for 6 months. It needed the engine to come apart again for whatever reason. So I'm not really that big on the 3.8s. I've never driven a super coupe though. Never driven a supercharged one, and I'd like to.
Josh says interesting roll bar. Glenn says if
And
you're
push bar.
Glenn says if you're shaking your head, how come the camera isn't moving?
We don't have a camera anymore. This is all being done through a computer program. We are fancy. We moved right into the 20th century.
Dean says 18.5 big kiwi. Tavo says I'm still here. Didn't get Jeep's trucks in here.
You didn't need them. You had Utes.
Chris says you need 4 dogs barking during your live stream because that doesn't get annoying at all.
My dogs are well behaved, Chris, and old. They don't want to bark, and I wouldn't let them anyway.
Jay says he likes minivans as they fit in that wood stick, uh, uh, as they fit in that wood stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, but I don't think Tony cares about sticking out like a sore thumb.
KJ Kieli 4101 is here.
You don't have to read the numbers. That's just the numbers that
But I don't know if you know them or not.
Yes, I know that YouTube assigned to them.
Yeah, but
Hey
I don't know if
KJ,
you know them or not.
what's going on? Thanks for joining us.
Dean says aluminum head oxidized and the Cleveland Windsor water pump doesn't come off easily. Dean says nice ES 400 or Mexican Spec equivalent.
Dean, I'll bet you never guess what they called this car in Mexico.
Can I guess?
You already know. What do you think they called this car in Mexico? The E Series.
Chris says it was called the Chrysler Stevenson.
Nope, it wasn't.
Dean says Dodge something.
Yes.
Glenn says to Dean, the aluminum water pump was the least of Ford's problem. It was the distributor never wanting to come out. Jay says LE series.
No, it's called a Dodge Dart. Is that surprising? That one had a few options like the automatic and the power windows. If it's the base model, it's called a Volare.
KJ Kelly says, what does the number besides our names mean?
That's just the number that YouTube assigned to you. You can go into your you can change your handle and get rid of it. If there's no other KJ Kylie registered, then you could just get rid of the number. You can change your handle to anything you want. They assigned me Mexican Spec with some numbers, and I went in there and changed it and just took off the numbers. So it's just my name now. This is a van you guys didn't get. The Ichi van.
Ricardo Flores is here.
Hey, Ricardo. Thanks for joining us.
And he says those Ichi vans were used as public transportation well into the
Yes, but
early 2000s.
yes, but probably not the short wheelbase one that's like this. The longer ones probably did. This is more of a personal van.
Jay says my 716 is the area code.
You don't have to have numbers on there.
George says that is to identify us as many of us have the same name.
Right. But if you're the first one, then you can get rid of the numbers. Like Chris did, like you did, like Mark Sauvé did.
George says, sorry, Chris says to Jay, used to be our area code as well until they split up the region. Jay says, I had an Ichiban once. There's probably a cream for that.
It won't work, but they probably sell one.
Mark says, sounds like it's a good thing we didn't Ichibans. Well, Tavo says Toyota Tarango in Oz.
Really, Tavo? Because that's a Nissan here. Nissan and Toyota got together over there? Or it was a different van, different flat nose van?
Jay says, I remember when they did Chris. Dean says, the Itchy and Scratchy show. Tavo says, or was that the Nissan that looks a lot like it, called Banet here?
Yeah, that was the Nissan. They split us too in California. Everybody used to be 213, the Los Angeles and the San Fernando Valley. Then there was too many people, so they split off 213. We were 818. So whenever my grandmother had to call, she would ring the house once and then we would have to call her back. So we would pay the long distance and she wouldn't. There was no long distance before because we were all 213.
They like my joke.
Good.
Dean says Mazda and Nissan got together and did a Banet too.
Mwah. The license plate.
Oh,
Mwah.
just kiss. Chris asks Dodge Spirit.
Chrysler Spirit, but yes, close. Says right there, Chrysler Spirit. I just don't like them with an automatic. Had too many bad experiences with them. Then you can't find a transmission shop that's worth a darn to fix anything. So I'd rather just stick with a manual.
Johnny says we did that too. 415 became 510.
Mm-hmm. As places grow, there's no turbo engine in this or anything.
Dean says Bellissimo. Jay says same K car, different name.
Mm-hmm. That's how they made their money, Jay. They sell the same car under different names to different places, and every Chrysler dealer had the exact same car, a Chrysler, Dodge, and Plymouth.
Chris says venerable 2.2 Chrysler engine.
Yeah.
Ricardo says those late 80s, early 90s front wheel drive mopeds were very well engineered, so much so that you still have come across them every now and then down here.
Yeah. There's still quite a few of them for sale. If you know how to work on them, you can get them cheap and they run forever. Transmissions were the weak part with the automatics though.
Buff del Campo says, sometimes I forget about long distance.
Used to be a huge thing, Buff. I'm sure you know.
Vintage says, here in the 405, they just added a 572 area code. In the 918, they added the 539 area code.
Do they even do they charge you long distance if you call into another area code or even cross country? Well, I guess nobody has a home phone anymore, do they?
Jay is saying something, but I can't pronounce that name for the life of me. So
Liayakoka.
you have to say the whole thing.
Liayakoka saved Mopar with the K car.
And Dean says, "Wow, the DP sounds kinda socialist."
They didn't in a lot of these cars, it was just your basic transportation, so you're not going to have the power windows, power locks, and all that stuff. So they don't charge you any long distance, Tanner. If you called Uncle Tony or something, or Jamie, all the way in Washington.
Vintage says, "I still have a home phone. It's just a flat rate nowadays. We technically have a home phone, but we don't have a phone.
Yeah, but it's
There's
through
a
the
difference.
it's through the cable company, so it's basically the same thing as having a cell phone.
Yeah.
So there's no long distance.
Um. Wait. Both Campos says, I remember talking to people in Russia back in the 90s. It was 371 per minute.
Wow.
Ricardo Flores says, man, the one you guys are showing now is mint, almost as if someone parked it 30 years ago and didn't move it until last week.
It's amazing, Ricardo, how many people really care for their cars. They don't even have to be older people. They put them in the garage every night and, don't get them smashed up. Or somebody redid that car and, put new tail lights and everything on it to sell it.
Jay says, now you can just internet call someone, no long distance.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where they are in the world, as we know.
Chris says, that name again?
Ayakoka.
I am chairman of Chrysler Corporation America.
That was convenient for his name.
Mark says, don't know what happened. I think I closed this window by mistake. Low.
So you can't see us?
Vintage says, no long distance charge anymore.
Oh, well, that's good. The phone companies learn their lesson. Nobody's going to pay it anyway.
Dean says, noise, please. Tabo says, I remember calling Interstate from a payphone, had to dial the operator and ask for a number. Then they told you how many coins to insert and interrupted the call to ask for more coins.
Yeah.
Mark says, Buffalo Campo, remember when cell phones charged by the minute? That was expensive.
Yeah, that was at the start. I had a cell phone in 1990, I think, was my first one. And I really liked those bricks. They were durable. I'd be out messing with cars, it'd fall out of my pocket, the car would roll over it. No problem. Never hurt one.
Mark says, I'm back now. Buffalo Campo says, okay, that name again. And then
Lee
says,
Iacocca. You speak Spanish, you can pronounce out every letter. Iacocca.
That's a weird name. And Frank Sinatra were friends. They talk around calling each other chairman. Dean says Mark and Bob judges collect. Josh says that car must have a really rough ride in those rubber bands. Johnny says, remember they used to sell calling cards?
Yeah, when I got here to Mexico, that was a huge thing because all of the payphones in the street took the cards. You had to have a card in order to use a payphone in the street.
Mm-hmm.
They were everywhere, and people were making special cards and promotional cards and just everything. And you can put money on the card, and all that. A lot of people here in Mexico still go into a convenience store and they'll put 100 pesos of time on their phone because they don't have a plan or something, and that's how they use their phones. It's really, really big. You can buy time, cell phone time, at supermarkets and convenience stores and just about everywhere else. Everywhere.
Dean Stevenson says Italiano.
Yep, he was very Italian. That's why he could never move up in the Ford thing because they said there's no way there's an Italian is ever going to run this company.
That was, oh, well, that's rude. That was says about 2010 unlimited calls on sale started here. Before that, it was charged by the minute. Vintage says, I still carry a flip phone. I cracked the outside screen riding a horse, ruptured the speaker with metal chips from machining, but it still works great. Mark says, the bricks in the Motorola flip phones. I got my first cell phone when the Motorola flip phones were out.
Yeah, I had every one of them too, and it was so funny because they started out large, and then the next one was smaller. The next one was smaller. It kept getting smaller, smaller, smaller. I remember this friend of mine in Vegas. He was this black guy, a very, very large black guy, and he had a phone so small that he was talking on it, and he would have it up by his ear to listen. Then he would bring it down to his mouth to talk, and then put it back up to his ear to listen, and bring it back down to talk. It was that small. So now, every year they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger again.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's flip. There's ones that you can actually fold, and the screen folds, and so it's actually twice as big as the folded size. So everything goes around, comes around.
Buffalo Campos says, no, I made calls to Russia as short as possible. Dumb questions. Do you know Russian? I want to learn Russian.
Yes,
Is it
he knows some Russian.
is it difficult? I'm guessing the writing part of it is difficult because it's different characters, but is the speaking part of it difficult? Tabo says we had the face with cards here, but you couldn't top up just a fixed amount that gets used up.
That makes a huge amount of waste, Towel. Every time you use a card, you have to throw it away, buy another one, throw it away. All those plastic cards have to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, here you could just put more money on the card in your wallet.
Chris says my father studied Russian in college in the mid 1960s. Class started with 60 students. By the end, there were 6 left, including my dad. Wow.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, but when you are studying Russian, you're also studying the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really care for learning the characters, which is dumb because I should. But since I'm gonna be working online, I don't necessarily need to learn the characters.
Right. No, Buff didn't only call Russia. He was living there for a while.
Mm.
We don't know what that is, Buff.
Oh no, don't do that to me.
The first word looks like hemorrhoid.
um,
And then the next one is stolen, robo, and the last one is pick 'em up. Hemorrhoid, stolen, pickup.
what?
Hemorrhoid,
Stolen.
stolen, robo,
Ah,
stolen, pickup. Right? Am I right?
Jay says, Privet is hello, and a Russian interpreter. I know a Russian interpreter Max met her.
Yeah, she's in his lives.
Dean says, Papa Campo can say your mother wears army boots. Translates to I don't know what that is.
Now
In Cyrillic.
you're cheating with the translator, Dean.
Chris says last works is Russian. Jay says Cyrillic.
Mm-hmm.
Papa Campo says I speak some Russian is what it says.
We wouldn't know that, Buff. Not even close to Spanish.
No, the Russian is difficult to learn for a Spanish speaker because the vowels or what counts as vowels sound differently for what they are.
Yeah.
So, this I always cheat.
Does anybody like these Datsun trucks, Nissan trucks that are 4 doors?
How would I win otherwise?
This grill, the composite headlights, I believe was only Mexico. The 2 composite headlight grill, I think it looks pretty good, which means this is a 1993 model. The last year they made them.
Sorry, I'm drinking.
Weren't you learning Italian for a while?
I was learning Italian for a while, but then Duolingo came out and said that they were gonna change all of their workers into AI. They were gonna kick all of their workers and they were gonna use all AI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not about to back you up on that. So I stopped
Okay.
with Duolingo. But I need a job. So I think I'm
Yeah.
going back.
Mm-hmm.
So um there's other options of course. Dean says, yeah, they are great. Mark always says, yes, just sticking to Latin based languages. Yeah, I'm also learning Italian, so that helps. Tavo says something.
No, Tavo. Never German. Never, never, never.
Yeah,
Not gonna happen.
I did looked up like what are the best languages to learn if, for like jobs, and it was Chinese Mandarin and German, but I can't learn German in this household, and Chinese Mandarin is so difficult to learn. So I won't be Russian. Jay says Lillian, the Russian lady I know, speaks Spanish too. Mm,
Stop speaking German, everybody.
French.
I know you're gonna read comments, but hey, everybody, this was a Mexico only jeans beetle.
Jeans.
Jeans. The interior looks like it's Levi's. It's not actual denim material, but it's got the Levi's little red tag on the seats. I'm gonna ask this guy, what's wrong with the suspension? Why is it low like that in front? It shouldn't be like that. This is a collector's item. This is a collector car. You should not be messing with suspension or anything else to lower the value of it. But yeah, this is how it came out of the factory with the imitation denim material, but with the Levi. And I don't know how much they actually paid the company to be able to do that, but it is the original interior in this car, just like the Levi Gremlins that were out there, and I think a Pacer too. No, Mark, this is a Beetle. No engines in the front.
Jeans says Levi or Rockstock.
Can you make Jay not a moderator so we can block him? He keeps speaking German. I don't appreciate that.
Uh,
Kidding.
I can put him in timeout.
Can you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that. A moderator can't. A moderator can't put another moderator in timeout. Huh.
But I'm not a moderator here.
I know.
I'm the owner.
I know.
So.
So be careful, Jay. Yeah, click on the three things again.
Nope. Oh, this. Nope.
Yeah, you're double clicking on it.
Let me look again.
Something stuck then. Why are you on top chat? You're supposed to be on live chat. Did we miss anybody? Is anybody here that we haven't seen because we were on top chat? That's a rookie mistake.
Let me catch on the chat here since I'm on live chat here. Glenn says, nice mural on the beetle. I know it's a reflection. Tavo says, first one is I speak a few phrases of Croatian in Croatian. Jay says, I like Italian sports cars and women. Does that count? And Tavo says, and German and French. Mark says, because of an online game I used to play, I would have liked to learn German. Chris says something. That's when Dean says Levi or Rockstock. Mark says engine in front. Jay says something. Vintage says something in French. Chris says, "Excuse me, are those Jordache jeans? You
Jordache.
can't stop it." And you're driving. You're looking over there. Dean says, "It might have a pallet of free jeans inside, Mr. Spec." Jay says, "Lol." Tavo says, "We had a few promotional Valiant panel vans here called denim machines, trimmed with actual Levi denims."
But
Denim.
they found that the denim material doesn't work well for seats.
Mark says, my buddy has a 73 Beetle with a 454 in the front low.
454.
Dean says that would be that would be bad and wrong to block Jay. Jay says you wouldn't, Mrs. Beck.
Timeout would be worth it.
Mark says, but the jeans Beetle also had strange centers in the back wheels. They seem to stick out a lot.
Those are the center caps for those wheels, Mark, and those wheels are very valuable. They cost a lot of money here.
Dean says, yeah, Jay, you don't want to mess with the wrong bulk. And Jay says, ooh, I like that yellow. Vintage says, I put a sticker on an old coworker's locker that said La Mujer Bonita de la Clínica. I was putting sweet or funny notes on everyone's locker. Buster Campos says, Vauxhall. Wow.
That yellow car was a 1 year only they sold in Mexico. It's like the Corsa engine in it, called Tigra. 1 year it came in, sold, never was sold again. There's not that many out there. I know it needs a headlight, but it's a decent looking little car. And this is a Samurai.
Stop yelling.
No.
Stop it.
And this is a Samurai, a Nissan Samurai. I don't like automatics, but it was in good enough condition to put in here. They didn't just call it a Central wagon. It's a Samurai.
Don't go in the red.
I can go in the red if I want to. Nobody's complaining.
I'm complaining.
There's a Nissan Z engine that probably did not come in this car from the factory, so it's an engine swap. I don't even think that engine existed when this car was made. How close are we to the end? Oh, one more picture.
We're on the end.
We've been at this for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Buster Campos says, a Vauxhall with left-hand drive. That's gotta be unusual.
It wasn't called a Vauxhall here.
Tavo says, front half of the...
It restarted by itself.
Yeah, it does restart.
Okay.
Tavo says, front half of the Samurai is what we had as a Datsun Stanza, but only 4-door sedan and wagon here.
This is a 2002 Beetle that I will only offer to my Canadian friends because it can't be legally imported into the US. But this is a local car here in my town. So, yeah, Buff, it said Vauxhall on it, but that was not from the factory. Somebody put that on there. It was not a Vauxhall anywhere here. We don't even know the name here.
Chris says, we had the Nissan Stanza here as well.
Yep, that's what turned into the Altima. Anyway, I think we're done with this. You guys saw all I had to see.
To show.
Well, for them to see. Yep.
Vintage says, yo soy el hombre guapo. Are you now? Dean says, Australian Rally Championship winner Datsun Stanza SSS rear drive. Mark says, why would this Beetle not qualify for US?
Because it's a 2002 model, Mark. I can only import a car that's 25 years old. It's not 25 years old yet. Here, Buff, here's their car for you. They don't want a whole lot of money for this car, so I'm going to list it for sale. The Crocodile Taxi. Put stock wheels and tires back on it and wheel covers, and it should look really nice. It looks like a really nice car. Why the license plate is on the bumper like that, I don't know. I know 58 is the, I'm not going to use the word, but the middle year that nobody likes, and they were cursed and everything, but yeah, it's It really stands out. It looks like somebody put a lot of work into the car, and they're not asking a whole lot of money. So it says it runs and drives pretty well.
Buffalo Campos is great light with good pictures.
Oh, here's one more thing. We're almost ready to be to. We're almost set up to start shipping cars from the port of Veracruz to Jacksonville, Florida. So, Chris, would that help you at all to pick up the car in Jacksonville, Florida at the port there? And if that is not a possibility, the client that I sold a Volkswagen Beetle to gave me his connection, because when he has cars brought in from Japan, he has a guy that goes to the port in Jacksonville, gets the car out, whatever paperwork needs to be done, and he delivers it to him in Tennessee. So he works the eastern area. So I could also, or you would be talking to him directly, and he would pick up the car in Jacksonville and deliver it to wherever he needs to deliver it to. So the car would be delivered right to your door with all the paperwork that needs to be done. So he knows what to do with all that. He's very experienced, because Adrian is bringing in 3, 4, 5 cars at a time from Japan. So he's very familiar with the whole thing. I haven't talked to him yet because we don't have this side completely set up yet. The customs agent said that we can do one under my wife's name, and then after that, she has to have what do you have to have? Some kind of document
You have
about,
to sign up on the website.
yeah, some kind of document to be able to export vehicles. And she's going to be doing that starting Monday. She's going to investigate that online. She went down to the office here, and they said, oh, we don't do that here because we don't have exporting here, even though they do right down at the port here. But they don't do that in person here, so it all has to be done online. Once that's done, then we could start doing the shipping from Veracruz over to Jacksonville, Florida, and handle the whole East Coast, or even where you're at, Buff, in Tennessee, because that's where the guy delivers now.
Jay says, bye everyone, I'm putting myself in timeout. Vintage says, remember everyone, I am the handsome man. Buffalo Campos says 58 4-door Ford, and then says Y block. Johnny says, that's wild, lol. Vintage says, Y block, the most beautiful engine ever. Chris says, I have to look into what it takes to bring a car into a port like that. It doesn't. We the ones to deal with what it takes to bring the car in. You will be the one just dealing with handling the bringing the car out of the port,
right,
and to your house.
Chris, the Jacksonville, Florida is the customs area. The vehicle will be taken off the ship and delivered there, probably really dirty and everything, but delivered there. And then either the buyer comes and picks it up from there, because the fees are all going to be paid and everything. All the fees already get paid up front to the customs agent, the tariff and everything that needs to be paid. So it's just a matter of bringing your paperwork in and picking up the car, or having the transport guy do it. He comes in, picks it up, and delivers it to whatever address you guys give him. So,
yeah,
that's what we're working on right now.
It wouldn't be that much of a hassle, really.
And considering that, I had a guy in Belgium, the country of Belgium, that wants that red Pacer. So I just sent him an email, and if he's still interested, then I'll get back with the shipping company and see if they have a route to get to Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once it's on the ship, it's his problem.
Buff says, so I guess to your pointing out of the car, says, I had so many Y blocks until I could afford FE engines, which were new at the time. Dean says, sounds great, Mexican Spec. Vintage says, Buffalo Campo, I have 2 390s. I'm a fan of those, but the Y block is much prettier. Vintage says, hey Spec, you put on a fun live that helped me kill plenty of time at work. Thanks.
Thank you for visiting. Thank you for being here, Tanner. We appreciate it.
Chris says, having the transport guy being able to pick up the car from the port does make things a lot easier.
Yes, but we don't know prices or anything like that. So with that dual overhead cam LeBaron or Phantom, it would have been the same price me taking it to the border here as shipping it over, because the customs agent is charging some money because they have to handle the car and deliver it to the port and everything, and then storage time because they need a week to do the paperwork, and then at a certain amount of time before the ship actually arrives. The ship is going to be there the 20 something of December, 26th or 27th of December to pick up cars, and then they would deliver them over to Jacksonville. And I think it only takes 3 or 4 days to get over there because it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Mexico over to the east coast of Florida. They drop them off, so it doesn't take that long. But yeah, if that makes it everything easier for people to buy cars, because I have all these people, no, I can't come down to the border. You know, I need it. I'm in New like I think Mopardin is in New York, and he would need it delivered to his house, but I can't. There's nobody here to cross it at the Arizona border and then make the arrangements to to uh, to transport it to somebody's house. This way, we put it on the ship here, it gets delivered to U.S. territory, and then the transport guy can handle the rest of it and deliver it to your door with all the paperwork intact. So, we just have to figure out, we have to do one and then figure out how the whole process goes.
Yeah.
And then we can, ramp up the thing, which means I'm going to be buying a lot more cars in the Mexico City area because that's like 400 kilometers from the port. But it's also going to mean that I'm not going to be able to do work on the cars because that's not my area. I can't stay in a hotel while mechanics are working on it and stuff.
We don't know any mechanics over there.
Right. We don't know
that
anybody,
we
and
can trust.
there's nobody to trust over there. So anything that needs work has to come here to my location that I can handle: new tires, new brakes, new suspension, painting, whatever needs to be done. But then it has to be delivered to the Arizona border. So, but I do have a friend that has moved to Arizona, and I'm working with him. Maybe he will be able to cross the cars, but we don't know yet. We're not sure yet. There's a lot of trust involved because the paperwork is going to be in the buyer's name. His name will only be as the driver to cross it. So, we don't want to put it in his name like we were doing with Jason. But he was putting the titles in his name and then basically selling the vehicle to the owner, and delivering the vehicle with plates or a plate and the title to the new person. So, he was handling that. But yeah, we're trying to get that set up so I can start selling more cars and be out on the road and do more lives and stuff. And yeah, that's what the future holds for us. So we are going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody being here, and I look forward to the next one.
Thank you guys for being here.
You know how to turn it off?
Joining us. Yeah, I think so. Let me figure this out. And